outdated and dilapidated. The Mission Beach Lifeguard Tower in need of emergency repairs.
In court today, a sexually bound predator is asking a judge to let him return to a house in Campo.
The new scrutiny against California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara.
The astronauts are back on Earth, but what comes next? We spoke to the Air and Space Museum about how the astronauts will transition back to Earth.
We'll introduce you to one of the remarkable women honored today at City Council and how she changed lives in the community while facing hardships of her own.
After sewing 12,000 pairs of pajamas, we'll tell you why Margaret Daly needs your help.
CBS 8 News Live at 6 starts right now.
Just as our weather is warming up, the Mission Beach Lifeguard Tower is in dire need of emergency repairs. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Carlo Cicchetto.
I'm Marcella Lee. The building is a staple along the San Diego coastline, but as its condition deteriorates, there are questions and concerns about how much longer it can withstand nature's wear and tear.
CBS 8's Brian White joins us now live from Mission Beach. Brian, so how bad of condition is it in right now?
It looks pretty bad, Carlo and Marcella. I did not go inside the building, but from the outside, you can see a lot of these issues. Rust along the roof line and many cracks running up and down the outside walls. Not a good look for San Diego. Dilapidated and in disrepair, the main lifeguard station on the Mission Beach Boardwalk is near the end of its service life. Numerous cracks on the outer walls, rusted out metal framing, and corroded braces that hold pipes in place. A litany of issues plainly visible from the outside, the conditions so poor that San Diego Fire Rescue is requesting emergency repairs. Mission Beach Town Council President Casey Fields says this lifeguard station is one of the busiest in San Diego.
The most important thing is the structural integrity of the building, and that needs to be preserved so that way the building can continue to be used.
An inspection by the city's development services in November determined it could be dangerous and unsafe if action is not taken. They said there is risk of falling debris from the building as the concrete masonry pulls away from the corroding rebar underneath, putting not only lifeguards at risk, but the general public too. Now to compare, here's what the lifeguard station in Pacific Beach looks like. It went through some renovations in 2016, and here's what the main tower looks like at La Jolla Shores. It was built 12 years ago and replaced an older one that was demolished. Now back to Mission Beach, you can see the difference. This building has seen better days. San Diego Fire Rescue is asking the city of San Diego for $1 million to make these repairs.
Best case scenario is let's get it patched up, keep it working, and then come up with a long-term plan. But don't wait for it to be condemned before we replace it. Let's keep it going because it's a really solid station.
I reached out to District 2 City Council member Jennifer Campbell. She said, quote, the necessary repairs will extend the habitability for a few more years, while plans are finalized for a new facility. As for next steps, San Diego Fire Rescue will be making the case to City Council for these much-needed repairs on Thursday at 1 o'clock. Reporting live in Mission Beach, Brian White, CBS 8.
Thank you, Brian. And this just into our newsroom, we're learning that a San Diego State University police officer has been arrested accused of having child pornography on his personal computer. University Police Chief Gregory Murphy says Homeland Security's Cybercrimes Unit contacted the department last week about the arrest, which happened off campus. The unnamed officer was charged last week with possession of child pornography. No other details have been provided. We will have any updates posted on CBS8.com.
Right now, an investigation into what caused an early morning fire at a Spring Valley McDonald's is underway. The fire broke out around 3 a.m. at the location on Hamishon Boulevard. The restaurant was closed at the time, so no one was hurt, but there is significant damage, including a collapsed roof. It looks to be a total loss. Firefighters believe this started in a storage area in the basement, but they do not believe the fire is suspicious in nature. A child rapist is asking for a second chance at freedom tonight, hoping a judge will let him return to a house in Campo. Alan James was placed in the house last year, but officials say he violated the terms of his release.
CBS 8's David Gottfredson was in court today, where James appeared remotely from a state mental hospital.
Mr. James, can you see and hear the court okay? We don't have any video feed from your end.
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Alan James didn't want to turn on his camera during his remote court appearance Tuesday from Coalinga State Mental Hospital in Central California. But we do have a mugshot of the 62-year-old sexually violent predator, so we know what he looks like. Neighbors in Campo know what he looks like, too.
I foster here, so we have 6 kids under the age of 12.
James lived in this house on Custer Road in Campo last year for 6 months. Neighbor Christine Vergara took this photo of him and sent it to the sheriff right before his release was revoked. What do you see him doing?
He was like, there, you know, the boundaries, the property boundaries he's supposed to stay in? Okay, so he'd be like on the boundary, 1 foot in the boundary, 1 foot outside the boundary, just kind of like walking up and down the boundary, like to see how far he could get away with whatever.
We don't know exactly why state hospital officials revoked his placement in Campo, because Judge Rohani Zapanda has excluded the public from previous court hearings on the grounds that James has privacy rights as a mental health patient.
Records that I had subpoenaed had come into court. I was able to retrieve those records. I do have them. They are quite voluminous.
James's public defender asked for a continuance in downtown court Tuesday, saying he needs more time to prepare for his client's upcoming revocation hearing. James was convicted of raping 3 children in 1986 and sentenced to 28 years in prison. In 1999, he was committed to the state mental hospital as a sexually violent predator. Deputy District Attorney Peter Estes says the future revocation hearing will have one of 2 outcomes.
If he's revoked, he will be committed back to the Department of State Hospitals for further inpatient treatment. If he is not revoked, then he will be returned to his residence for continued outpatient treatment.
In other words, he could be returned to the same house in Campo. So no final decision has been made yet on James's revocation. He'll be back in court on May 6th. At the downtown courthouse, David Gottfredson, CBS 8.
Thanks, David. Alan James's public defender declined to comment on camera outside of court after today's hearing.
Tonight we're learning about the 3rd arrest made in connection with a body found buried in Balboa Park last summer. Today, San Diego police say 42-year-old Gisela Bowers was taken into custody last week. She's accused of being an accessory to the murder of James Garcia. The 43-year-old Garcia was found in a shallow grave off the 163 near Richmond Street. He had been shot to death. Charges have been filed against 2 other suspects. Investigators say the suspect and victim appeared to be homeless and staying in Balboa Park. No motive for the shooting is known at this time. 16 people are under arrest tonight accused of running a drug trafficking ring out of Escondido. It's the result of a 16-month investigation that led to indictments for drug trafficking and money laundering. The U.S. Attorney's Office says the ring was responsible for selling fentanyl, methamphetamine, cocaine, and Adderall.
A controversial project is up for discussion tonight in East County. The Valle de Oro Community Planning Group is holding a meeting tonight at 7 o'clock to talk about finalizing a recommendation on the Cottonwood Sand Mine Project proposal. That project wants to mine sand from the land where the Cottonwood Golf Club is now. It has received pushback from people living nearby who are concerned about health hazards and increased traffic. CBS 8's Richard Allen will be at the meeting and have an update on what happens on the 10 o'clock news on our sister station, the CW San Diego, and right here on CBS 8 News live at 11. Also happening tonight, the city of Carlsbad is expected to vote on an ordinance that would ban people from living in vehicles on public property.
That ban would include parks, beaches, parking lots, and streets, citing safety and quality of life concerns. The city says they plan to offer shelter and services before issuing citations. If this ban passes, the ordinance will take effect in late April.
A first-of-its-kind ban on disguised vapes was just approved in El Cajon. The city council passed an ordinance last night banning any vapes designed to look like pens, watches, or other objects. The law will take effect in about 30 days. Any stores selling the prohibited vapes could face fines up to $2,500 and potentially lose their tobacco retailer's license. Local schools called for the ban after complaining about students hiding vapes in class.
And splashdown, Crew 9 back on Earth.
The long-delayed Starliner astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sunny Williams are finally back on Earth after being in space for 9 long months on a mission that was only originally expected to last 8 days. This is what it looked like as the pair were taken out of the Dragon capsule. It is normal for them to be taken out on a stretcher as their bodies are brittle after being up in space for so long.
And that's one of the many things CBS 8's Alex Cheney learned more about today, covering the return. Alex, I know you talked to local experts about how Butch and Sunny are going to have to adjust to being back on Earth.
That's right, and the journey is going to continue for them. So even after landing back on Earth today, it's still going to take several weeks for their bodies to readjust to the Earth's gravity.
And splashdown. Crew 9 back on Earth.
With this splash landing, astronauts Sunny Williams and Barry Wilmore finally ended their unexpected 9-month stay in space today. The space travelers launched last June 5th on a mission that was expected to last just 8 days. Instead, mechanical issues with their Boeing Starliner spacecraft forced NASA to keep them on the station and bring the Starliner down, unmanned by remote control. The crew returned today on a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft. Back on Earth, their health journey is just beginning. They will be taken to the Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, where they will be checked over by medical experts. Long-duration missions in space take a toll on the body, from weaker bones and muscles to vision issues.
They won't allow them to walk off. They'll put them in a stretcher of some kind, but they'll get back to it. I mean, it's just precautions. They don't want them to fall. Want to make sure their balance system is, because once again, they're not in weightless conditions.
Jim Kidrick, the president and CEO of the San Diego Air and Space Museum, says astronauts Wilmore and Williams will undergo physical therapy over the next several weeks as their bodies readapt to the unfamiliar tug of gravity.
It's probably going to take, 2 to 4 weeks before they start feeling more and more comfortable, but the adjustment will actually be pretty quick.
But the first priority for Butch and Sunny will be to see their families and friends. The 286-day-long trip is the 6th longest single space flight in NASA's history. Reporting live, I'm Alex Cheney, CBS 8.
Thanks, Alex. California's insurance commissioner is facing scrutiny over a trip to Bermuda. We'll tell you what has people asking questions.
Plus, the special recognition from the San Diego City Council in honor of Women's History Month.
And time is running out to join in on a cute competition. We've got all you need to know about March Meowness.
Plenty of sunshine in that forecast for today. It was absolutely gorgeous out there. Now, we did have those rogue showers last night, but will we see any more wet weather this week? I'll have those details coming up.